What if I told you there's an entire country hiding in plain sight? A place so incredible it's insane that more people aren't talking about it. Right in the middle of South America, surrounded by giants like Brazil and Argentina, is a nation that most people just skip over. But I'm telling you, that is a huge mistake. This place is packed with secrets, from having the world's largest water reserve to a history that will completely blow your mind. I literally couldn't believe what I found when I started digging into this country. And it's a place I guarantee you'll want to visit after watching this video. We're talking about a country with 2 official languages spoken by almost everyone, a river that splits the nation into 2 completely different worlds, and one of the most powerful hydroelectric dams on the entire planet. It's a land of extremes, with scorching deserts, lush rainforests, and ancient ruins that look like something out of a movie. I've spent weeks researching this, and today I'm going to share the 20 most mind-blowing facts about this hidden gem, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you will see why Paraguay is one of the most fascinating places on Earth. So get ready, because we are about to go on an epic journey to the heart of South America. I want you to forget everything you thought you knew, because what you're about to see is going to completely change your perspective. We're going to uncover ancient mysteries, explore vast wilderness, and reveal secrets that have been hidden for centuries. This isn't just a list of facts, this is an adventure. Are you ready? Let's do this! Alright, first up, let's talk about location. If you pull up a map of South America right now, you'll see Brazil, Argentina, Bolivia, and right there, smacked in the absolute center, is Paraguay. It's not just a nickname, it's literally the geographical heart of the entire continent. Because of this, it's officially called the Corazón de Sudamérica, which is Spanish for Heart of South America. This isn't some marketing slogan they came up with last week. It's a name that has defined the country for centuries and shaped its entire identity. It's the ultimate crossroads. Being in the middle means it doesn't have a coastline, which we'll get to later, but it also means it's been a critical hub for trade, culture, and conflict forever. Imagine being the central point connecting all these massive, powerful countries. Everything flows through you. This central position has made Paraguay a melting pot of different influences, but it has also made it incredibly resilient and unique. It had to carve out its own path while being surrounded by giants, and that has made its culture unbelievably strong. So when you think of Paraguay, don't just see a landlocked country. See it as the core, the central processing unit of an entire continent. It's the starting point for understanding everything else around it. All roads, rivers, and histories in this part of the world lead to or pass through this incredible heartland. It's the perfect place to begin our journey because, just like a real heart, it's the source of life for so much of what makes South America amazing. Now this is where it gets crazy. Imagine taking a country and drawing a line straight down the middle, creating 2 completely different worlds. That's exactly what the Paraguay River does. This massive river isn't just a waterway, it's a continental divider. It splits the entire country into 2 shockingly different regions. The east, known as the Paraná region, and the west, which is the famous Great Chaco. And when I say different, I mean it's like visiting 2 separate countries. It's one of the most dramatic geographical splits on the planet. On the eastern side, where almost 98% of the population lives, you have lush rolling hills, fertile farmlands, and dense subtropical forests. This is where you'll find the capital city, Asunción, and almost all of the economic activity. It's green, it's vibrant, and it's where most of Paraguay's history has unfolded. It's the Paraguay that most people, if they know anything about the country, picture in their minds. It's a land of rivers, waterfalls, and civilization. But then you cross the river and everything changes. Instantly, you enter the Great Chaco, a massive semi-arid wilderness that is one of the most sparsely populated places on Earth. It's flat, it's dry, and it's incredibly wild. This one region makes up 60% of the entire country's landmass, but holds less than 2% of its people. It's a world of extremes, home to hardy wildlife and indigenous communities that have lived there for thousands of years. We're talking about a single country with 2 faces, one a bustling green paradise and the other a vast rugged frontier. Let's dive deeper into the Great Chaco because this place is absolutely insane. The Chaco isn't just a desert, it's a massive ecosystem that stretches across Paraguay, Bolivia, and Argentina. But the Paraguayan part is legendary. They call it the Green Hell, and for good reason. In the summer, temperatures can soar to insane levels, making it one of the hottest places in South America. It's a brutal, unforgiving landscape of thorny scrubland, dense forests, and vast plains that seem to go on forever. This isn't your typical tourist destination. The Chaco is true wilderness. It's one of the last great untamed frontiers on the planet. There are very few roads, and the ones that exist are often just dirt tracks that turn to impassable mud in the rain. People who live here are some of the toughest in the world. From the Mennonite communities who turned this harsh land into productive farms, to the indigenous Ayoreo people, some of whom remain in voluntary isolation, having no contact with the outside world. It's a place where survival is a daily challenge, but for all its harshness, the Chaco is teeming with life. This is where you find some of South America's most iconic and elusive animals. We're talking jaguars, pumas, giant anteaters, and the Chacon peccary, a species of wild pig that scientists thought was extinct until it was rediscovered here in the 1970s. The sheer scale and wildness of the Chaco are mind-boggling. It's a reminder that even in our modern world, there are still vast, mysterious places left to explore. Before the Spanish ever arrived, before the borders were even drawn, this land was home to a rich tapestry of indigenous cultures. And unlike in many other countries, that heritage is not just a thing of the past in Paraguay, it is alive and central to the nation's identity today. There are 19 distinct ethnic groups recognized in Paraguay, each with its own language, traditions, and connection to the land. This isn't a footnote in a history book. It's the living, breathing soul of the country. The most prominent of these groups are the Guaraní. Their influence is so profound that it's impossible to understand Paraguay without understanding them. The Guaraní culture has shaped the country's food, its music, its folklore, and most importantly, its language. Many of Paraguay's cities and natural landmarks have Guaraní names. This deep respect for indigenous roots is something that sets Paraguay apart from almost every other nation in the Americas. It's a place where the ancient past is honored in the present. Walking through Paraguay, you can see this heritage everywhere. You see it in the intricate Nanduti lace, which is said to be inspired by a spider's web. You hear it in the stories and legends that are passed down through generations, and you feel it in the profound connection that Paraguayans have to nature, a core value of Guarani philosophy. We're not just talking about history here. We're talking about a continuous, unbroken line of culture that stretches back thousands of years and is still shaping the country every single day. This next fact is one of my favorites, and it's something that makes Paraguay truly unique on a global scale. Paraguay is one of the few genuinely bilingual nations in the world. I don't mean a country where some people speak one language and others speak another. I mean a place where almost everybody speaks two languages, Spanish and Guarani. Over 90% of the population speaks Spanish, and an incredible 87% speak Guarani. A huge majority of the population speaks both. Think about how insane that is. Guarani isn't just a secondary language, it's an official language and it has equal status to Spanish. You'll see it on street signs, you'll hear it on the radio, and you'll see it taught in schools. It's the language of the home, of friendship, and of national pride. While Spanish is the language of government and business, Guarani is considered the language of the heart. It's a symbol of what it means to be Paraguayan. This linguistic duality is a direct result of the country's unique history, where Spanish colonizers and the indigenous Guarani people mix more extensively than in other places. The result is a culture that embraces both heritages completely. In fact, if you only speak Spanish in some rural areas, you might be seen as an outsider. To truly connect with the people, you need to understand the soul of the nation, and that soul speaks Guarani. Paraguay is living proof that the country can fully embrace its indigenous and colonial roots to create something new and incredibly powerful. Now let's go back in time to a period that left behind some of the most stunning ruins in all of South America. In the 17th and 18th centuries, Jesuit missionaries came to this region and established a series of incredible settlements or reductions for the Guarani people. These weren't just churches, they were entire mini-cities, utopian communities designed to be self-sufficient, blending European architectural styles with indigenous craftsmanship, and the ruins they left behind are absolutely breathtaking. Two of these missions in Paraguay, La Santísima Trinidad de Paraná and Jesus de Tavarang, are so important that they've been designated as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. When you walk through them, it's like stepping into another world. You can see the remains of massive stone churches, workshops, and living quarters. The level of detail in the stone carvings, which were done by Guaraní artisans, is just incredible. They depict a fusion of Christian stories and indigenous symbols, a perfect representation of the unique culture that was born here. These missions were a massive social experiment. For over 150 years, they thrived, creating a unique society that was famous for its art, music, and economic success. But eventually, the Jesuits were expelled from the Spanish Empire, and these incredible cities were abandoned and fell into ruin. Today, visiting them is a powerful, almost spiritual experience. Standing in the middle of a giant, roofless stone church as the sun sets is something you will never, ever forget. It's a silent testament to a lost world. If you plan on visiting Paraguay, you better pack for every season, because you might experience them all in 1 week. The weather in this country is not for the faint of heart. It is a land of dramatic, and I mean dramatic, climate swings. We're talking about everything from scorching heat waves to sudden, bone-chilling cold fronts, sometimes in the same month. The country sits at a climatic crossroads where tropical air from the Amazon basin collides with cold polar air sweeping up from Antarctica. This clash of weather systems creates some seriously wild conditions. In the summer, especially in the Chaco, temperatures can regularly climb above 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit, making it feel like an oven. But then, a cold front known as a surazo can sweep in from the south, causing temperatures to plummet by 20 degrees or more in just a few hours. You can go from sweating in a t-shirt to shivering in a winter jacket literally overnight. And it's not just the temperature. Paraguay experiences powerful thunderstorms, torrential downpours that can cause flash floods, and even hailstorms. The weather is a powerful force that shapes everyday life here. Farmers have to be incredibly skilled to manage their crops with such unpredictable conditions, and everyone knows to keep an eye on the sky. This constant change and intensity is just another thing that makes Paraguay a land of incredible extremes. It's a place where nature is always in charge. When people think of the world's largest tropical wetland, they usually think of Brazil. But here's a secret. A significant chunk of this natural wonderland, the Pantanal, is actually inside Paraguay. And the Paraguayan Pantanal is one of the most pristine and untouched parts of this entire massive ecosystem. It's a vast, sprawling labyrinth of rivers, lagoons, and marshes that explodes with life, especially during the wet season. It's an absolute paradise for wildlife. The scale of the biodiversity here is just mind-blowing. The Pantanal is home to one of the highest concentrations of wildlife in the Americas. We're talking thousands of species of plants and animals packed into one area. It's one of the best places on the continent to see jaguars, which are often spotted hunting along the riverbanks. You can also find giant river otters, capybaras by the hundreds, and the jabiru stork, a massive iconic bird that has become a symbol of the Pantanal. What makes the Paraguayan side so special is that it's far less developed and receives way fewer tourists than the Brazilian part. This means you can experience the Pantanal in its raw, authentic state. Imagine taking a small boat through these winding waterways, surrounded by the sounds of howler monkeys and countless birds, knowing that you are in one of the wildest, most biodiverse places on the entire planet. It's an unforgettable adventure that most people don't even know exists. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Paraguay is one of only 2 landlocked countries in South America. It has no ocean, no coastline, no saltwater beaches. For a lot of people, that might seem like a major downside, but Paraguayans are incredibly resourceful, and they came up with a brilliant solution. If you don't have an ocean, you create your own beaches, and that's exactly what they did, using their massive rivers and lakes. All across the country, especially around the capital city of Asunción and the city of Encarnación, you will find gorgeous sandy river beaches that are the heart of social life in the summer. The beach at Encarnación, on the shores of the Paraná River, is so massive and popular that people call it the Copacabana of the South. It has a huge promenade, a beautiful sandy shore, and thousands of people flock there to swim, sunbathe, and play volleyball. These aren't just patches of sand, they are full-blown beach destinations. There are beach bars, restaurants, and a vibrant party atmosphere that rivals many coastal cities. For Paraguayans, the river is their sea. They've built a thriving beach culture around it, proving that you don't need an ocean to enjoy the sun and sand. It's a perfect example of the Paraguayan spirit, creative, optimistic, and making the absolute most of what they have. Okay, get ready for a fact that is literally monumental. Paraguay is co-owner of one of the most powerful structures ever built by humankind, the Itaipú Dam. This thing is an absolute beast. Straddling the border between Paraguay and Brazil on the Paraná River, Itaipú was the single most powerful hydroelectric dam in the world for decades. And honestly, it's still one of the top producers of clean energy on the planet. The scale of this project is almost impossible to comprehend. So let me throw some numbers at you to put this in perspective. The amount of concrete used to build Itaipú could have built 210 football stadiums. The iron and steel used would be enough to build 380 Eiffel Towers. For years, it generated more electricity than any other single power plant in the world. And here's the craziest part. The dam generates so much power that Paraguay, a relatively small country, only uses a tiny fraction of its share. What do they do with the rest? They sell it to Brazil, making it one of the world's largest exporters of electricity. This dam is more than just a power plant. It's a symbol of national pride and engineering genius. It completely transformed Paraguay's economy and provides almost all of the country's electricity with clean, renewable energy. When you stand on the observation deck and look out at this wall of concrete holding back a massive river, you feel completely humbled. It's a testament to what humans can achieve and a cornerstone of modern Paraguay. So we already talked about how the Paraguay River splits the country into two halves, but honestly, it gets even more complex and amazing than that. Paraguay is so ecologically diverse that scientists have actually divided it into 6 distinct ecoregions. 6! In a country that's about the size of California. Each one of these regions has its own unique climate, landscape, and collection of plants and animals. It's kind of like having 6 different natural worlds all packed into one nation. In the east, you have the Upper Parana Atlantic Forest, which is part of the same rainforest system that stretches into Brazil and Argentina. It's a lush, humid forest full of towering trees and incredible biodiversity. Then there's the Cerrado, a savanna-like region with grasslands and scattered trees. And you also have the Mesopotamian grasslands, which are these fertile plains perfect for agriculture. That's just the eastern half of the country. Then you cross the river into the Chaco, which itself is split into 3 more ecoregions. There's the humid Chaco, which is a transitional zone of wetlands and palm savannas. Then you move into the dry Chaco, the classic green hell of thorny forests and extreme heat. And finally, in the far north, you have the Pantanal, those world-famous wetlands we talked about earlier. Having this much variety in one country is just insane. And it's why Paraguay is a hidden paradise for nature lovers and scientists. So, when you think of South America, you probably picture the massive Andes Mountains, right? Paraguay doesn't have towering snow-capped peaks like that, but don't let that fool you into thinking it's completely flat. The country has its own beautiful and important mountain ranges and hills, which are really vital to its landscape and culture. The highest point in the country is Cerro Pero, also known as Cerro Tres Candu, which stands at 842 meters, or about 2,762 feet. While that might not sound huge, these hills or cerros are dramatic features that rise up from the surrounding plains. The Cordillera de San Rafael mountain range, for example, is a critical area for conservation. It's an isolated range covered in dense Atlantic forest, and it's considered a biodiversity hotspot. Because these mountains are isolated, they are home to many unique and endemic species that are found nowhere else on Earth. They are like green islands in a sea of agriculture. These hills are also steeped in legend and folklore. Many of them are considered sacred places in Guaraní mythology. Climbing to the top of a cerro in Paraguay gives you a breathtaking panoramic view of the country. You can see the patchwork of forests and farms stretching out to the horizon. It's a powerful reminder that Paraguay's beauty isn't just in its vast plains, but also in the ancient rugged hills that have silently washed over this land for millions of years. For a landlocked country, rivers are everything. And in Paraguay, they're more than just sources of water. They're its lifelines and its borders. An incredible 75% of Paraguay's international borders are not just lines on a map, but are actually defined by massive flowing rivers. This has shaped the country's history, its economy, and its relationship with all of its neighbors. The country is literally hugged by water on three sides. To the south and southeast, the mighty Paraná River forms the border with Argentina. This is a major commercial highway, with barges carrying goods to and from the Atlantic Ocean. To the east, the same Paraná River and the Apa River separate Paraguay from Brazil. And to the west, the Pilcomayo River snakes along the border with Argentina, creating a wild and constantly shifting frontier in the heart of the Chaco. These rivers are the arteries of the nation. Living with river borders creates a unique culture. Cities on opposite banks in different countries often have incredibly close ties, with people crossing back and forth daily for work, shopping, or to visit family. The famous Friendship Bridge connecting Ciudad del Este in Paraguay with Foz do Iguacu in Brazil is one of the busiest border crossings in the world. These rivers aren't barriers, they are connectors, pulsing with energy and commerce, and defining the very shape and soul of Paraguay. We've touched on this in other points, but honestly, it deserves its own chapter because the sheer amount of life packed into this country is just staggering. Because Paraguay is located at the meeting point of so many different ecoregions, the Amazon, the Atlantic forest, the Chaco, the Pantanal, it has an explosion of biodiversity that is completely off the charts for a country its size. It is a biological crossroads, and the result is a stunning variety of wildlife. Paraguay is home to nearly 1,000 species of birds, which is just insane. That includes everything from the massive jabiru stork and the rare harpy eagle to thousands of colorful parrots and toucans. In terms of mammals, it's a hotspot for big cats like jaguars, pumas, and ocelots. You can also find tapirs, giant anteaters, capybaras, and multiple species of monkeys. The country's rivers are teeming with fish, including the golden dorado, a legendary sport fish. The crazy thing is, scientists are still discovering new species in Paraguay's more remote areas, especially in the Chaco and the isolated mountain ranges. The country has established a system of national parks and protected areas to try and preserve this incredible natural heritage. But many regions remain underexplored. It's a country where you can genuinely feel like an old-school explorer, because around any corner, you might find a creature that very few people have ever seen before. Every country has a capital, but not many have one with a history as deep and important as Asunción. Founded way back in 1537, Asunción is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in all of South America. It wasn't just some random outpost. For a long time, it was the main center of Spanish colonial power in this entire region of the continent. It even earned the nickname Mother of Cities. Why? Because it was from Asunción that the expedition set out to found other major cities, including Buenos Aires in Argentina and Santa Cruz de la Sierra in Bolivia. It was the original launch pad for the colonization of the southern part of the continent. Walking through the historic center of Asunción today is like walking back in time. You can see beautiful colonial-era buildings, grand plazas, and the impressive Panteón Nacional de los Heroes, a mausoleum where many of Paraguay's national heroes are buried. But Asunción isn't just a museum. It's a vibrant, bustling city that blends its rich history with modern energy. You have sleek new skyscrapers rising next to centuries-old colonial houses. You have traditional markets selling local crafts right next to trendy cafes and restaurants. It's a city that proudly displays its past while looking firmly towards the future. And it perfectly captures the resilient and evolving spirit of Paraguay itself. Paraguay's political journey has really been a roller coaster. The country has been through so much, including one of the most devastating wars in South American history and a long dictatorship that only ended in 1989. But since then, it has forged a path towards a surprisingly stable and robust democracy. This transition is honestly one of the most remarkable stories of modern Paraguay, and it has created a very unique political culture. Paraguayans are deeply engaged in their country's politics. Civic participation is a big deal here, and people are super passionate about their political parties, which have deep historical roots. The two main parties, the Colorado Party and the Liberal Party, have dominated the political landscape for over a century, creating this dynamic of intense rivalry and loyalty that's unlike almost anywhere else. Elections are colorful, energetic, and incredibly important events. Despite the intense passion, the country has managed to maintain regular, peaceful transfers of power, which is a huge achievement given its turbulent past. This commitment to the democratic process really shows the incredible resilience of the Paraguayan people. They fought hard for their freedom, and they definitely don't take it for granted. Understanding this political backdrop is key to understanding the national pride and the forward-looking optimism you feel all across the country today. Here's a geological feature that is honestly so cool and unique to this part of the world. Across the vast flat grasslands and savannas of Paraguay, especially in the Chaco and other regions, you'll find these strange isolated patches of dense forest that look just like islands in a sea of grass. These are known locally as Islas de Monte, which literally translates to mountain islands or forest islands. They're one of the most distinctive features of the Paraguayan landscape. These forest islands aren't random. They typically form on slightly elevated ground that has different soil conditions or better access to water than the surrounding plains. This allows a dense community of trees and shrubs to grow, creating a self-contained little ecosystem. From the air, it looks incredible, a flat green or golden plain dotted with these darker circular patches of forest. It's a natural mosaic that is just stunningly beautiful. These Islas de Monte are also critically important for wildlife. They provide essential shelter, food, and breeding grounds for so many animals, from birds and reptiles to mammals like armadillos and foxes, who use them to hide from predators out in the open grasslands. They are like natural motels for the wildlife of the plains. This unique geological and ecological feature is just another example of how Paraguay's nature is full of surprises and intricate designs. We've talked about rivers and wetlands, but it's important to understand just how much the rhythm of water defines Paraguay. Much of the country, especially in the low-lying areas near the major rivers, is subject to massive seasonal flooding. This isn't seen as a disaster. It's a natural and essential cycle that has been happening for thousands of years. When the rains come, vast areas of the country transform into temporary swamps and wetlands. This seasonal pulse of water is the lifeblood of the ecosystems. The floods replenish the soil with rich nutrients, making the floodplains incredibly fertile for agriculture once the waters recede. They also trigger breeding cycles for fish and amphibians and create a massive feeding ground for wading birds. The entire landscape changes its character completely between the wet and dry seasons. A dusty plain in August can become a shallow lake teeming with life by January. This cycle has, of course, a huge impact on the people who live in these areas. Communities, especially the poorer ones along the riverbanks in cities like Asunción, have learned to adapt to the rising and falling waters. They build their houses on stilts or are forced to move to temporary shelters during the highest floods. It's a constant, challenging dance with nature. This dynamic relationship with water, both as a source of life and a powerful destructive force, is fundamental to the Paraguayan experience. Here's a fact that speaks volumes about national pride. The currency of Paraguay is called the Guaraní, named of course after the indigenous people and language that are so central to the country's identity. This makes Paraguay one of the only countries in the Americas to name its currency after an indigenous group. It's a powerful, everyday reminder of the nation's deep connection to its native roots. Every time someone buys something, they are holding a piece of their heritage in their hands. But there's another incredible fact about the Guaraní. It is the oldest and most stable currency in all of South America. While its neighbors like Brazil and Argentina have gone through cycles of hyperinflation and have had to change their currencies multiple times, sometimes lopping off several zeros from their banknotes, the Paraguayan Guaraní has remained. It was introduced in 1943 and has been the national currency ever since, without ever being revalued or replaced. This stability is a huge source of pride for Paraguayans. In a continent often rocked by economic turmoil, the steadfastness of the Guaraní is a symbol of the country's resilience and sound management. The banknotes themselves are beautiful, featuring national heroes and important symbols of Paraguayan culture and nature. So the currency isn't just money, it's a statement of identity, history, and stability. Our final fact takes us deep into Paraguay's ancient past to a time long before the Jesuits, before the Spanish, even before the Guaraní were the dominant group. Scattered across the country, particularly in the hilly region of Amambay, you can find mysterious and ancient petroglyphs. These are intricate carvings etched into rock faces and caves by people who lived here thousands of years ago. These are some of the most important and least studied pieces of prehistoric art on the continent. These rock carvings depict a wide range of symbols. You can see human-like figures, animal tracks, celestial symbols like stars and suns, and complex geometric patterns. No one knows for sure who made them or what they mean, but they are believed to be linked to ancient rituals, hunting magic, or astronomical observations. They are a direct message from the earliest inhabitants of this land, a puzzle waiting to be solved. Sites like Jasuca Venda and Cerro Guasu are considered sacred by today's indigenous communities, who see them as a link to their ancestors and the creation of the world. Visiting these sites is an incredible experience. You're not in a museum, you're out in nature, touching a piece of rock that was carved by someone 5,000 years ago. It's a profound connection to a deep, mysterious history that is still very much alive in the landscape of Paraguay. And there you have it! 20 mind-blowing facts that prove Paraguay is one of the most underrated and fascinating countries on the entire planet. From the world's most powerful dam and a nation that speaks 2 languages, to the untamed wilderness of the Chaco and ancient mysterious ruins, this country has it all. It's a place of insane contrasts, incredible resilience, and a culture that is so rich and so unique. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of what makes this place, the true heart of South America, so special. I honestly had no idea about most of these before I started researching, and I'm completely blown away. The fact that a country can be so central, so important, and yet so overlooked is just crazy to me. It's a hidden gem in every sense of the word, and I hope this video has opened your eyes to the magic of Paraguay. We went on an epic journey today, and I hope you feel like you've discovered a secret part of the world right alongside me. Now I have to ask you, which of these 20 facts surprised you the most? Was it the river beaches, the bilingualism, or the sheer power of the Itaipú Dam? Let me know in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to see what blew your mind. And if you enjoyed this adventure and want to discover more of the world's most incredible secrets with me, make sure you absolutely destroy that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video. Thank you for watching.